Njalo sanibonani babukeli sinamukele sesifikile thina nohlelo Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. Bukeli uyazi siza kuwe bukhoma la. Kumahamba phambili iSABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Mina ke go Alisha intombi yakajali. Bukeli uyazi njengenjalo ekuhambeni kwesikhathi phela sizokupha nawe ithuba lokuthi phela ubambe iqhaza odabeni esobe silidingida namhlanje. Uyazi number yethu yase studio 011 714 6918 noma uzame ku 011 714 6919. Ungasithumela i-email ku consumer@sabc.co.za. usithole futhi na ku Facebook noma ku Twitter. Utabala namhlanje mbukeli, the levels of hunger in South Africa have reached worrying proportions. Although the country produces sufficient food for its population, skyrocketing prices and unemployment prevents the poor from getting inadequate nutrition. At least 12 million people in South Africa go to bed without food. They include 12 million children who starve every year. Most of those unable to feed themselves are people in urban areas. As South Africa focuses on nutrition this week and marking World Food Day on the 16th of this month, the problem of hunger comes under the spotlight. Agesibhekena kumbiko.
Imali eyisibonelelo esivela kuhulumeni iyithemba kubantu abaningi. Babalelwa cishe ku 15 million abantu balapha eMzansi Afrika abaphila ngemali eyisibonelelo sikahulumeni. Kulaba bantu kubalwa nezingane ezibalelwa ku 10 million. Kodwa konke lokhu akuyiqedi inkinga yesomiso lapha eMzansi Afrika, njengoba abantu abaningi bebhekene nenkinga yezomnotho, ukuntuleka yemisebenzi nokubiza kwezinga lempilo. Lokhu akulula neze kubantu abantulayo, kakhulukazi ezindaweni ezisemaphandleni. Emalangeni andlule i-NGO ifake isandla ekusizeni abafundi baseyunivesithi yalapha eGoli kulenkinga yesomiso. Zibalelwa cishe ku 2.5 million wezingane lapha eMzansi Afrika ezibulawa indlala minyaka yonke. Kanti ngokwe-The Children's Institute, le ndaba idinga ukufakelwa izibuko. Ingculaza kanye isandulela ngculaza yashiya abantu abaningi bengenabazali bekhuliswa ogogo kanti namakhaya aholwa izingane. Ukunyuka kwezidingo zempilo, ukuntuleka kwemisebenzi ishiya abantu abaningi bengakwazi ukuzibekela ukudla ematafuleni abo. Ingakho ke i-food security indaba esematheni lapha eMzansi Afrika. Izinhlangano ezifana ne-The Stop Hunger Now Southern Africa, i-Food Bank kanye nezinye izinhlangano zikahulumeni zihlanganise amakhanda ukugqugquzeleni abantu ukuthi bengathembeli kumaphasela okudla nje kuvo. Inhloso yalokhu ukufundisa abantu ekutheni bekwazi ukuzondla ngamakhono abafundiswa wona. Abantu bayanxusa ekutheni bezifundise ukutshala izithelo emagcekeni abo, ekuqinisekeni ukuthi umphakathi uyakwazi ukuzikhiqizela ukudla. Kanti nomnyango wezolimo nawo uyabagqugquzela abantu kakhulukazi intsha kulomkhakha ukuze kube ne-food security. Nangoba iNingizimu Afrika ikwazi ukukhiqiza ukudla okwanele abantu balapha, abaningi abakwazi ukuthola ukudla okunomsoco. Njengoba sigubha i-The National Nutrition Week kanye ne-The World Food Day ngomhla ka-16 kuyona lenyanga, amehlo abhekiswe kwi-food security ekuvezeni ukubaluleka kwalenkinga kanti nokuthi ingaxazululwa kanjani. Abantu balapha eMzansi Afrika bayingxenye yabantu ababalelwa ku 900 million emhlabeni wonke jikelele abangakwazi ukuthola ukuya ethunjeni, kanti babalelwa ku 234 million abahlala eSub-Saharan Africa. Ingakho-ke kule nyanga izinhlangano ezifana ne-The Food Agriculture Organization, i-The Stop Hunger Now Southern Africa nomnyango kahulumeni bebambene ngezandla ekutheni behlise amazinga esomiso. Unompumelelo Mthethwa, Yilungelo Lakho, eGoli.
Sibonge kakhulu ngalo mbiko esiwenzele uNompumelelo Mthethwa, iproducer yethu. Ukuze sikhulume ngabanzi ke ngodaba la namhlanje mbukela samukele izivakashi zethu la e-studio. Sinaye uSikhalele Njoni, yena uphuma kumnyango wezolimo, i-Department of Agriculture. Siphinde futhi sibe naye uBerry May, yena uphuma kwinhlanganiso i-Stop Hunger Now Southern Africa. Gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to the show. Let's start with you, Sikhalele.
Thanks very much.
Yes, please awusichazele nje kabanzi uvela kwi-Department of Agriculture. Usichazele nje very quickly nge-Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, I'm Skyrocketing Njoni. I'm coming from Gauteng Department of Agriculture. The department's main objectives is to make sure the food is available in abundance in the country or in the province as well, so that everyone who is hungry can able to get the availability of food. We are also advocating for the issue of access. People have to access food in terms of monitoring the prices, so that people must fail to get food into the market and retailers and all those. We also work closely with social development to ensure the utilization of the food that we eat is also healthy, because that's what it's all about in terms of food security.
Okay, but Mr. Barry May, please tell us a bit about Stop Hunger Southern Africa.
Good afternoon, Alicia.
Nice.
Well, Stop Hunger now provides a social investment opportunity to provide good food to children, primarily in the preschools. We depend on passionate and active volunteers for meal packaging events and food distribution. Our program has solid, measurable results and restores hope for hungry children in South Africa.
A great initiative. Gentlemen, we've just heard the insert, very shocking statistics. 12 million hungry children in South Africa alone. Why is the figure so high?
I think the figure is so high, basically, that we okay, le 12 million iba phezulu kakhulu, because silahle into lebesiyenza ekudala lezi yakulima na kwenza ukuthi everyone ukuthi if makhelwane angane kudla sikhona kumsiza ngakho nje kanjalo. Lamalanga sakhona ukwenza lezi zinto zenjalo. That's why ukuthola ukuthi isibalo salaba bayolala bangadlanga sikhulu kabe. So ngizocela ukuthi asibuyeleni emuva kancane nje sibheke ukuthi yini lento singayenza ukuthi siyotshala sinakekela nabamakhelwana nje, singayenzi ukuthi sibakhohlwe sidla nje siyoyedwa sikhohlwa amakhelwana, asenzeni kanjalo ukuthi sibanakekele kakhulu.
Barry, in your experience, I mean, this is a widespread problem. You deal with it every day now. You've got branches all over Southern Africa. Tell us, in your experience, why are the figures so shockingly high?
We have two branches, one in Cape Town and one in Johannesburg, but we serve South Africa, and we have reached out to our neighbouring countries. Yes, we have. So why do we have hunger? Well, let's look at what the definition of hunger is first. Hunger is an uneasy and a painful sensation that one gets for a want of food. Now, just think about those words. A painful sensation. It's not being hungry in our context. When we're hungry, our tummy grumbles and we get miserable and agitated, and so we get something and maybe get a headache. But for many children in this country, it's a painful sensation. Never mind the effects that it has on that individual's life from a growth perspective, physically and emotionally, because hunger is a very emotional subject. But it's also a debilitating thing, because, I mean, just think about it. If you've got a student who has attended lectures all day, for example, and has got an assignment to do that is due next week, and goes home and doesn't know if they're going to eat that night or the next day, just imagine the psychological pain as well as the physical pain that that individual experiences. Now, blow that up by 100-fold, and you'll begin to understand what millions of children under the age of 5 experience in this country every single day.
On a daily basis. Gentlemen, let's talk about the factors. Let's define the hungry people. I mean, I spoke about in the introduction, there's hungry people in urban areas, there's hungry people in really, really poor civilizations. Babu Skalil.
Yeah, uthi cala labo bathi bahlala izinto lezicavile amapleki lama ngathi ucave kakhulu, ngithi ngibize kahle uthi it's amasabhabhini. Singacabanga ukuthi bona abanayo indlala if sibabheka, because bahlala ezindaweni lezi ngathi zi right kakhulu, ziphucukile. Lezi ndawo lezi uthola ukuthi badla izinto lezi ngathi azikho right, like zinamafutha zinani ma junk food nje awuthi ngibeke kanjani ma take away, because ba busy kakhulu and umzimba wabo awuzifuni lezi zinto bazidla kakhulu. Nabo ungathola ukuthi baba ne food insecurity, because indaba yakuthi abakhona ukudla izinto lezi health, nakhona abakhona ukuthi bathole isikhathi sakuthi bazitshalele. So yi group le singathi nayo le group ifanele sinakekele ukuthi nayo singavele siyeka sithi hayi sebafikile la bayakhona, indlala ingena konke ayinandaba ukuthi uhlala kuphi. So if isibuya la kulaba uthola ukuthi bahlala la emakhaya ezilalini indawo ezenjalo, kuba nankinga yakuthi bona abakhoni nakuthi baba nemali yakuthi bathenga izimbewu ukuthi bozotshala nani so bagcina bangakhoni ukuthi bathole kudla nje because abanayo imali yakuthenga lezi zinto so bagcina bangabi nakudla loku health emzimbeni wabo so ngathi nje ngobufishana nje ima category lawo singabheka kakhulu kodwa abakhona nabantwana labo uthola ukuthi bahlala kanje abasene bazali abasenani indlala yabafikela abantu banjalo nabo
child-headed households.
Yes so izinto zenjalo laba ema group lawo ngathi sifanele sibanakekela kakhulu sibona ukuthi nabo at least bakhona ukuya bayolala badlile into lebalekile kakhulu asibhekeni kanjalo.
Barry, he's just explained because I wanted to define the the different types of hungry people. Now he's just explained that the one group is the urban people that are going off on takeaways and junk food. Meanwhile, the poorer society is those that can access food. Now my question is any of the two preventable? Because it seems like the other one is able to afford, but they still fall under that hungry bracket.
It's just such a good question because you've heard of the saying, one man's treasure is another's trash.
Absolutely.
One person's scraps is a child's main meal, and it could be the only meal in 3 days. So I think what's really key for us to understand is that there's a lot of hidden hunger in South Africa because of the stigmatization that is associated with such an emotive subject.
Absolutely.
So if we could, if I could just expose that people are embarrassed to say that they actually suffer from hunger.
Absolutely.
And especially the teenagers and young adults. When you see a small child who's hungry, they're not scared to ask you for a piece of bread or a sweet,
not. Yes.
But when you look at young adults who are in high school and teenagers who are in high school and young adults that are in university, they're not going to come up and ask you anything because of the stigma and the labeling that they are labeled by society.
Barry, that's my next question. We have to talk about the recent news story about the university students that were actually taken over by an NGO after they realized the students' very dire straits. Please tell us about that.
I'm going to cut a long story very short. Essentially, it was brought to our attention that a university right here in Johannesburg comprises of students who go hungry. And I responded by phoning a very good supporter of ours at Bidvest Bank, and Craig was able to raise funding to provide 30,000 meals in a meal packaging event, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Remember, humanitarians have fun as well, okay? We had more than 200 volunteers at Wits University package 30,000 meals in a space of 2.5, 3 hours, and we had a party. We weren't allowed to make too much noise that day because it's Fridays and no music is allowed to be played loudly before 1:30.
Yes.
Anyway, what is very important here is that I had 3 of the students come up to me afterwards and say, we are going to be some of those beneficiaries. And we'd like to thank the donor, but also thank the program, Stop Hunger Now Southern Africa, in promoting this event where we're diminishing that labeling of the marginalized.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
it's the marginalized that we care about. And it starts here. And everyone has that responsibility to reach out and touch someone else's life. And I just find it absolutely amazing that every one of us has that capability to reach out and touch someone else.
Thank you very much, Barry. We'll get more into detail about how you've been helping out there. Mbukela yethi sibambe lapho kwamanje sithi ubuyele ezitolo ukhumbule mbukela ukuthi ngaphambi kokuthi sihambe sikukhumbuze nje ukuthi phela nawe ungabamba iqhaza odabeni esikhuluma ngalo namhlanje ngokusishayela la e-studio ku 011-714-6918 noma 714-6919. Ungasithumela i-email ku consumer@sabc.co.za noma usithole ku Facebook na ku Twitter. Siyabuya khona manje. Spend sikwamukele futhi mbukeli siqhubeke nenkulumo yethu ebhekene nendlala. Abantu abangu 12 million eningizimu Afrika balala bengadlile ngoba abanawo amandla phela okuthola ukuthi bakwazi ukuzondla. Abantu abangu 2.5 million balabo yizingane. To take part mbukeli sishayele ucingo ku 011-714-6918 noma 714-6919. You can also send us an email to consumer@sabc.co.za. You can catch us on Facebook as well as Twitter. Gentlemen, Barry, I want us to wrap around the university before we delve into the deeper issue of hunger. What can then be done by university heads as well as parents to ensure that the kids, because I know they get allowances either from bursaries and so forth, what can be done to make sure that these such cases don't occur in the near future?
I love the word Ubuntu.
Yes.
Because I experience the true meaning of that on a daily basis in the informal settlements, where you have a lady who has got nothing that will take care of the children on the ground. So she doesn't point fingers to anyone or any sector of the economic environment, but she takes responsibility for that. And I think that's true for this particular challenge that we have in South Africa. It's easy to point to the government and to other bursa agencies,
yes.
But I don't want to do that because that's an excuse. I would like to say that there is certainly an opportunity for each one of us South Africans to make an impact. I don't like the word make a difference because it's become a cliche.
Absolutely.
Let's make an impact. And that impact you can make is what Craig's son did that day. He told me about that environment at Wits University, and he did something about it. He didn't pass the buck to someone else and say that it was someone else's responsibility. And Craig took the effort to actually send me an email and thank me for exposing his son to this program, to this opportunity to engage with our South African fellows. And so it takes each one of us to be inspired and motivated by those I call community heroes who are not willing to take this hot piece of coal called hunger and pass it on to the next person. What they've been prepared to do, and what many thousands of our volunteers are prepared to do, is give up some of their time and actually hold that piece of coal for a while. And if we have enough volunteers doing that, we can make a contribution and a meaningful, transformative contribution to ending hunger in our lifetime. So rather than pointing it out and saying it's someone else's problem, I think what we should start doing as South Africans and saying it's our problem.
Absolutely.
Because if you're sitting, just think about this, Alicia, if you're sitting next to somebody that didn't eat last night,
and I'm having a 5-star
and they didn't have breakfast
lunch
this morning and are writing the same exam as you, and probably may not even have lunch that afternoon, and it starts right here. Starts right here with us. I'd just like to encourage people to be inspired that they can actually make an impact in someone's life.
Thank you very much. Let's take our very first call. Mhlengi from Boksburg. Welcome to Yilungelo Lakho. Mhlengi, usekhona ecingweni? All right, I think we seem to have lost the call. Thank you very much there, Barry. But then we'll talk about it in the end, how universities and people can actually get a hold of your organization. Babu Skalele, let's talk about now our communities. You speak about ukuthi abantu can plant food, ukuthi bazsustain. Some people don't even have land to live on. Batshala kuphi?
I think ngale indaba yase Masababini, if ungabheka edrobheni la Johannesburg, it's right inside the CBD. Bantu sebaqalile batshala lamafleti la kunema balcony khona. Ilabanga qala ukutshala khona. If siya la kuma location siyazi makasi yethu kune space nje lesincane nje ungathi ungake mhlambe utshala itshani, mhlambe ungatshala ini. Labanye bayenza paving, le space ungasebenzisa nje. Kunqana lokuzokuyenza lapho kuzoyenza imehluko because uzothola ima fresh vegetables from that smaller nyana space we have. Sesuka ke siya emphakathini, a community can identify areas la kune like ma crash, ma schools, kune space lezi ngathi asebenzisiwe le space. So la masontweni le space zonke le space fanele sisebenzisa. Because siyaza kahle ukuthi la Gauteng space in land yona is a problem. However kune space lesikhona la usibona ukuthi labanye bagcina sebalahle idoti khona. So le space balahla khona idoti kungaphuma ukudla lokumnandi. So as-identifying those space emphakathini sibona ukuthi singatshala ini la kule space senjalo. Sisuka ke siya la ngathi ikhona indawo le ngathi uyayibona nje mhlawumbe.
Bathi bayobani labo bantu Pusikhalele because ngeke abantu bavane basukume be-community bayotshala esontweni bengacelanga. Kuhanjwa kanjani mekwenziwa njalo?
Mangibeka indaba ukuthi laba base emphakathini bafane babone indawo la ingathi ikhona ayisebenzisiwe. Ukhona umnikazi wesonto unemalungelo yale ndawo.
Okay.
Bafane bamu approach abakhulume naye. Bamtshela ukuthi sifuna ukusebenzisa le ndawo ukuthi at least sizilimele sithole ukudla lapho. Esikolweni nakhona abaye kanjalo bakhuluma naye umphakathi principal naye ngakhona kubasiza. Mhlawumbe imunicipality lezinye izindawo ziona ngema-municipality uthola ukuthi nje i-open land akunamuntu lo ayisebenzisayo. So le ndawo kufanele ba-approach ama-municipal offices yale ndawo bakhona ukubakhulumisa ukuthi sibona le ndawo sifuna ukuyazi ukuthi singayisebenzisa kanjani. Labanye abantu bafuna uku-owner but ku-owner sometimes izokuthatha isikhathi kodwa indlala ayithatha isikhathi ukufuna manje. So kungcono ukuthi ngalesikhathi uqele ukuthi kuboleke indawo uyakusiza ukuthi ukhona ukutshala something le izokusiza ukuthi ubulale ushayele indlala ehambele kude nawo.
Barry, food is one of every human being's most basic right. In your cases, like in cases where people don't necessarily fit the brackets, what then should they do, especially in the urban areas where we know because you have a payslip, because you have a job, because you live in a townhouse, you don't necessarily qualify for a social grant for people that don't have parents. What should they then do?
Our program tries to always link distribution of the meal packs that are packaged by very passionate volunteers with educational outcomes. And we do that because it's quite important for us to try and break down the concept of entitlement. So if you're living in a townhouse and you're driving a fancy car and you're going hungry, it's your own fault. I would suggest that in the informal settlements that I visit, you need to have a look and see how many satellite dishes there are.
Yeah, no, it also surprises me, yes.
One's got to be careful of creating dependency when making food available. So our program takes a very rigorous and robust perspective on providing good nutrition for people who want to help themselves. And I think that's pretty important for the future of this country, because if you and I want our grandchildren to live in this country, we've got to start breaking down this feeling of entitlement, which, by the way, doesn't belong only in the poor environment, and it also exists in the resourced environment.
Yes.
If you've got a degree, so what? I don't really care what education you have, but as long as you're contributing to the social environments within this beautiful country, and providing other people with valuable opportunities, you're not going to go hungry. You shouldn't be hungry. And I would like to just say to anyone that is watching this today, if you are trying to develop your skills or the skills of other people, and there exists hunger, you need to contact us, because we can help you. Because we have donors who are cared about transformation through education, which is our vision, which is our mission.
Absolutely. Pusikhalele, where is government compelled to intervene in cases where people don't have access to money or food?
As our constitution says, government is compelled to ensure that every individual have the right to food.
But how do they go about determining who doesn't and who does?
There is a lot of study that is being conducted just to conscientize us in terms of where are the pockets of areas where we need to go and do an intervention. So another thing is there's these programs that are being advertised. We have got a lot of reaching out events.
Awubambe kanjalo Pusikhalele, sithatha Vuyani from eButterworth, siyakwamukela ohlelweni.
Yes, sisabona kunjani?
Siyaphila bhuti wami, sicela usibuze umbuzo noma ubeke umbono.
Yebo, mina bengithi ngakubuza kubala here in Butterworth we have got lot of indawo as cultivated, ne?
Yebo bhuti.
Yes, and then the president headed tractors here in Butterworth for to cultivate the meal fields, but those tractors have disappeared.
Kanjani bhuti?
They were handed to the head chief or headman. But there are no tractors. We have got many fields and there's no cultivation.
Okay, so you have land, but you don't have the equipment
We do
to
have the land,
cultivate.
but the equipment which was handed over by the president,
What happened to the equipment, Babu Vuyan?
we don't know. If the reason why I'm calling you, maybe you can assist us here in Badawi.
Okay, so government wanikeza indawo wanikeza nezinto kodwa anisazibona izinto senisele ngendawo.
Yes, you can ask the municipality or the chief of the Zazulwane administrative area.
Okay baba, siyabonga kakhulu, sicela ulalele lapho kumabona kude wakho. I'm not sure if you want to answer that very quickly. All right, before you answer that, let's take a very, very quick ad break. Mbugeli, Asithi Shui Eitolo, please join us after this. Asinamgele futhi babukeli, we continue with our conversation on the levels of hunger in South Africa. 12 million people are said to be going to bed on empty stomachs as a result of hunger. We look at what interventions are being made or should be made. My guest in studio, Yilungelo Lakho. He's from the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. We also have Mr. Barry May from the Stop Hunger Now Southern Africa campaign. Gentlemen, let's continue with our discussion. Babu Njoni, I think Babu wesifonela ungicela umphendule umbuzo wakhe quickly.
Yeah, bengifuna ukuphendula kwaba leyo seButterworth ngandlela ukuthi le program yama tractors ngiyayazi ukuthi si try ukuthi senza ukuthi kube na we increase production in all the provinces. So ngicabanga ukuthi kungcono ukuthi ahlangane nama office ya agriculture le Butterworth la yaseduze bozomchazela kahle ukuthi yini inkinga lama tractors angasabonakala endaweni yabo labafanele batshala khona. Ngicabanga ukuthi if bangayenza kanjalo bangakhona uyazi ukuthi imphendulo yakhona ngingaba ini ukuthi bakhona ukusizeka.
All right, my gentlemen, just to shift focus a little bit, I saw a very, very sad documentary involving 3 children. They lost both parents to AIDS, and it's still a very high stigma disease in that community. So the community totally shunned the children, and nobody intervened and did anything up until the children were actually filmed, and this film was shown to the department, and that's the only time that anybody came to do anything about it. So what about the other children that don't have, the same luck that somebody's going to come and film them? What about them?
That one, personally, I'll indicate that those issues, it's mainly to the neighbors that see those, and they have to quickly alarm the social development department. In all provinces, we have those functions that have to help those people who are in such a situation. We don't have to wait for the documentary to take place.
It was about 4 years before anything was done about this, and the children, the eldest girl had assumed the role of mother to her siblings, and it was very, very, very sad.
Yeah, my take is let's not wait. We know our neighbors much better than the government sometimes.
These children were shunned by neighbors.
Yeah, let me tell you a story that we have in Angela's settlement just in Boksburg. I met a lady who sends her child to Ratabana ECD or daycare center, and this lady was ostracized by her community in the Eastern Cape, where she had to leave the province.
I have to take Kate from Soweto very quickly. We'll get back onto you. Kate, sakwamukela ohlelweni?
Mama, nginombuzo mina lapha.
Buza mama.
Laba bantwana esibacelela usizo abangena abazali welfare. Umntana ungaphendulwa for 2 full years, umntana kana mama kana baba wafelwa. Yonke into yakho uyibeke pha kwa welfare kwasasa. Awuphendulwa 4 years. I mean ku2 years umntana engena mama engena baba. Bayalamba labantwana khona manje nje umama ke abazali babhubese na 15 years. NgoDisemba uzawuthi 18 years usesikolweni.
Siyabonga ma, sicela ulalele kumabona kude wakho. Another very big problem. She's just reiterating the fact that she's had 2 kids, her grandchildren that were without the mother for 2 years. The department has not even answered them on terms of the grants.
Yeah, to respond to that, I think that one, the way she's indicating, is very sensitive. My take is maybe she need to take, I'll have to get her number and to see if I cannot link with the social development, because they are directly responsible for that.
Okay.
But to me, it's very, very sensitive. It needs just that attention.
Personal attention, yes, Barry. Before we took the call, you were stating a very important point.
I was just, supporting you with the stigmatization of HIV/AIDS in this country. I think it's appalling that we can ostracize our neighbors and our family members because they are infected with disease.
And
where the medication that's available provides them opportunities to lead normal lives. And if you're careful, you don't have to be too careful, but you just need to be educated in understanding that it's something that can be controlled. But I'd just like to say that I'm very proud of the communities that we serve in Gauteng, especially, that absorb these ladies, mostly ladies, and again, it's very sad to see how dads abscond their responsibilities as far as their children are concerned.
Yes.
But I'm just very proud of those communities that we serve in the townships that we work in, how they have rallied around these ostracized folk and supported them. I'm very proud of it.
Thank you very much. Dr. Mtinda from Randfontein, welcome to the show. Dr. Mtinda, are you still on the line with us? All right, we seem to have lost the doctor. Babu Skalele, let's talk about foster care grants haven't really proven to make much of a huge difference. There's far too much corruption in terms of how they handed out and actually applied for. What is the department doing to try and alleviate such problems? I mean, it's been going on forever now.
Yeah, I have to respond, although I know it's in another department that is taking care of its social development. But I'm aware that there is systems in place that are trying to make sure the system is so tight to minimize all those type of sort of corruption in place. Because in the past, yes, there was other things that was not going well, but they have improved into tightening the system.
I want to know how you've tightened the system. Dr. Mtinda, welcome to the show. Please go ahead with your question or comment. Dr. Mtinda, are you on the line with us? All right, once again, we've lost Dr. Mtinda. Yes, you were still explaining, Babunjon.
Yes, I was indicating that they have improved in terms of making sure the system is so tight.
How is it improved, basically, if you can just outline to us?
You remember in the past, the way the people were just going to register and all those things, sometimes the duplication should be able to happen. But if you have a database that is...
The fake children that they're bringing with and are all getting the
those
social
sort
grants.
of things. So now, if a person has to be registered and all those things, it's put into the database that is highly monitored in terms of it's one system that a person can able to be detected whether it's in another municipality.
But are they able to detect if the money actually reaches the children that it's meant for? Because I know that adults actually take the kids' grant money and go and buy whatever it is that they please with the grant monies.
Yes, that's what I indicated, that there's a system in terms of monitoring. There are officials that are there in place to ensure that indeed the grants reaching the needy
children.
People.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. But in the past, because of the fast people that were coming, it was used to be very tight, difficult to monitor that. But now, in terms of the monitoring and all those, I think it has improved, but we cannot say we have reached where we want to be in terms of effectiveness and efficiency in terms of delivering those grants. I think it's a continuous improvement that we need to look at.
Dr. Mtinda, let's hope you are on the line with us. Welcome to the show. Please go ahead with your question or comment.
Yes, I've got the land here, but I have got nothing to read. I will not start. I've got the water, but I will not start. I want to do something.
What do you want to do, Doctor?
Yes, I want to plow. The Department of Agriculture, since up until now, I don't know what to do.
Okay, Dr. Mtinda, ufuna ukuplantela bani lapho, ubani ofuna ukumplantela izinto lapho?
No, futhi ngifuna ukuzenzela ngoba manje it's like njengoba ngisho iplot lapha futhi umuntu operate.
Ufuna ukuzilimela wena baba? Oh. Okay baba, besakhuluma ngama communities okwanamhlanje ukuthi if ulimo ungabasiza kanjani abantu mhlambe abangakhona ukuthi bathole ukudla ezindaweni ezinjengalezo. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi ubhuti uzokunika inamba mhlambe la ungakhuluma khona uthola usizo malana nokuthi wena uzilimele wedwa. Baba Sikhalela.
He
says he wants to, he's got a plot, he's got land, and then he wants to plow and plant things for his own, for his own.
What I wanted to check, where is he coming from, so that I can able to respond according
okay, I think we don't have him on the line, but you can give him details at the end of the show.
No, that's fine.
To just tell us where they can go. All right, now, gentlemen, let's talk about how do we change consumer behavior? First, before we change consumer behavior, where do people start to go for getting help, especially children that don't have elders to go in and apply on for social grants on behalf of them before Mr. Berry comes in with his organization? Baqala kuphi Babu Sikhalela?
Yeah, this function specifically is for social development. We have got offices in different areas to ensure that these people can able to do that. Let me indicate that other, frontliners in terms of making sure we've got the CDWs that are close by to almost every ward. We've got those that are close by to able to help the department or government to see that there's a problem in there. However, people who are still very young, almost in clinics and all those, that are the areas that they can able to be assisted in terms of giving the advice where to go and what to do.
Okay, so in my office up again in Alog.
What is a CDW?
Yes, she's going to explain to us just after the break. Please stay with us. Siphinde sikwamukele futhi mbukeli siqhubeke nenkulumo yethu. Uma ufisa ukubamba phela iqhaza, please sishayele ucingo la studio ku 011 714 6918 noma 714 6919. Ungasithumela email ku consumer@sabc.co.za or catch us on Facebook or Twitter. Gentlemen, let's start with you. Mr. Berry, you were saying something very important, I think, before we went to ad break. Please continue.
Can't remember anymore. But I think it's quite important for my colleague here to expand on what that acronym means.
Oh yes, it was actually you, Mr. Njoni, that was telling us about the CDW. Please, awusichazele kabanzi.
Okay, the CDWs, it's a community development workers. These workers are there in almost all communities. We do have those.
Okay.
They go door to door to check what type of services household needs the people in that particular area. So they are able to link that particular household or individual to any department that is dealing with that type of service that particular household require. So if we can able to make use of those, even those incidents where you find children, they don't know where to go, those because they go house to door to check into that particular, they are allocated areas that they have to check all those.
Oh, okay.
So they work closely with councillors of that particular area, and also the other departments has got, like for instance, Department of Agriculture will have extension officers.
Oh, okay.
In terms of linking the extension officer with the CDWs, because the CDWs will identify the needs of that particular area, that here you can do 1, 2, 3. Then if it's agricultural related, they will link with extension officer.
I don't know about this.
So those things,
That sounds to me.
It helps the government.
All right.
It helps the government to intervene to all the types of services that
sounds like
individuals. Yes.
All right.
So I think this is how we can able to assist all these communities that are in need of.
We'll talk about the offices just now. Thokozani from Mpumalanga, siyakwamukela kwilungelo lakho.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu. Yasibana inkinga but siyabonga ku government. I-government iyasiphatha kakhulu ngama-tractor, but ama-tractor siba nale problem yokuthi angakhona ukuzosiza asinikeze nembewu ukuthi sikhone ukuhlanyela but zilahleke singakuthi ilahleka kuphi. So siba naleyo problem kakhulu and singabantu abalambe kakhulu and abadingayo ukudla and sinayo indawo but laba bantu laba from ukuthi noma ngathi kuma department from government or somewhere lo agriculture abanikeza le problem and any problem ebakhona thola ukuthi kuneyinhlangano lezi ekuthiwa bomasibuyele emasimini or inhlangano lezi okumele zijoyine ama insurance bese bethi ajoyine if unganayo inhlangano then leyo nto leyo ise government uthi then asithole ngaleyo ndlela leyo so sinale problem la eMpumalanga eRobis Day.
Oh, okay. Babuthokozani, siyabonga kakhulu. Sicela ulalele lapho kumabona kude wakho. Once again, the tractor issue coming up. Ukuthi bayathola usizo babanikezile indawo, but they don't have seeds and they don't have the tractors to come and assist them. And if they don't belong to an organization, then they are said that they cannot farm in that particular area.
I think what I can indicate is it's a national program. This tractor issue, Masibambisana, Sibile Masimini. Actually, it's the objective is to increase food production, and into it is a total package where you have to have tractors, you have all these production inputs in terms of the seeds
and everything,
and all those. It might be 1 out of whatever, maybe 1 out of 10 where you have that type of situation where things are not going well. But the reason of not maybe going well, remember the tractors when they are there. The financial year, sometimes when you are on the list, you find you are not able to be catered for because
that
of the,
year, yes.
but that particular year, the others are benefiting into that.
And this one, he
but
doesn't want to plant for himself. He wants to plant for the hungry people.
Yes, that's. I think that is the program that is geared to that. That let's just increase production. We identify all the lands, big lands that are available within. Mostly province like Mpumalanga has got a lot of areas where they can able to increase production in terms of that. But what I can indicate in terms of the way they are saying they are not getting seeds to able to plant and all that. I think they need to go to their extension officer in that particular area. They should be extension officer or to the nearest offices for that particular to get help. But what I indicated is
what
that
specific offices, Babunjalo?
Like in Mpumalanga, there's an office in Nelspruit. It's at their headquarters. I can't know all the district offices where they are located.
All right.
But each district office has to have an office because we need to be closer to people where they are doing work.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where your development workers are also accessible.
That's where they are, all of them.
Okay. All right. Barry, you wanted to say something.
I was going to say there's an interesting correlation where you say quite casually that 1 out of 10, that's 10% that don't work. That's very interesting considering we have more than 20% of our population that go hungry. What is the department's acceptable criteria for failure? I mean,
exactly,
is it 10%?
Yes.
This is a new program, let me indicate that.
Okay, how new is it?
Let me say it started 2010 or something.
Okay.
Let me say 2010-11. Other provinces, they started just getting those tractors last year.
Okay.
So of which that management of those tractors in terms of maintenance and tool, that it's something that every province has got its own prerogative how to deal with those.
Okay, but why isn't government making these people aware that, listen, you're probably on the waiting list, you're just waiting for the logistics to be sorted and then you will receive these tractors. What do they do then in the meantime, the hungry people?
There is many ways of communicating with our communities in terms of all these programs that we are having. There are those outreach programs where we always talk about this. There are these extension officers that I talked about, that they are always available to those. We also have community meetings where all these community leaders are able to attend and able to take those messages to the right people.
Okay.
So sometimes it might be that particular person having get that feedback that he needed.
Okay.
But it's because sometimes it's at that particular corner where he is, but we have got those systems that is there in place. And nowadays we also publish these things in our local newspapers where we talk about these programs.
Okay.
Is that the mentorship program that the government implemented a while ago? Can that not be a reasonable gap filler for a service delivery challenge at the moment?
Absolutely.
I'm sure those farmers who are mentors are able to step up and say, hey, listen, you can use our tractor for a week, every 6 weeks or eight weeks. The government's already paying and funding these mentorship programs.
But they just
surely we
sitting
can
there.
connect the dots here.
Yeah. Before you answer, we're going to take a very, very quick and final ad break. Please do stay with us. Yilungelo, welcome to our final segment. We've been discussing the levels of hunger in South Africa and what can be done to help those consumers who cannot afford to put food on the table. Let's take our very final caller on the show. Msengi from Boxburg. Yilungelo hlelweni bhuti.
Yebo kunjani?
Siyaphila bhuti wami, sicela usibuze umbuzo nombeka umbono.
Siyaphila man. Ngifuna ukubuza uMr Njoni.
Yebo bhuti.
Yeah, Mr Njoni, umuntu onjengami ofuna ukustarta ibusiness like yokulima so and then to help the community people around his area, how do you sponsor him or support him?
Siyabonga kakhulu baba Msengi. Uvela kiphi indawo eBoxburg?
Ngise Boxburg North, but I've got a big place in KZN Engutu.
Oh, ila ufuna ukuyolima khona baba?
Yeah, ngifuna ukwenza i-farming ye-chicken and then at the same time because the space is cool ngiphinde ngitshale like the vegetables.
Okay baba, sicela ulalele kumabona kude wakho, siyabonga kakhulu ngombuzo wakho.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Very quickly, but
Yeah, in brief, what I can indicate is we've got programs that are geared to help such people who have got land already. You need just to go closely to extension officers and the offices that are there for agriculture in KZN, because the area that you want to work, it's in KZN, it's not in Gauteng. So please let him go down there and we'll get that help. What they will do is they will assist him with production inputs. If they need infrastructure for irrigations to make sure he can able to irrigate that. If there's no water, they will drill that. They will drill the water for that, for the particular person. All the infrastructure that is required, and also the seeds that can be required for him to plant. You will able to get that. It's not, what is it? We call it the grant for that particular person to continue. You will not go. It's not a loan.
Okay, it's not alone. Barry, you were pressing a very important issue before we went to ad break and kind of taking over. When are we going to see a relationship between government and such organizations?
Those relationships are already being fostered and nurtured. I just think it takes a collaborative approach to end the most atrocious obscenity of our age, allowing
I mean,
children
if you
to
are able to, as a very independent organization, to go into those areas and identify such problems and actually start addressing them, what is holding government back from getting into the same sphere?
Bureaucracy. It's so difficult to speak to the right person and have that challenge discussed at a high level for implementation of solutions. So if there would be an opportunity to cut through that bureaucracy for action and implementation, I would be, and I think all the non-profit companies and other NGOs in South Africa would be very happy if we could cut through this bureaucracy.
Nizokwenza kanjani lokho baba Njoni?
Actually, being ourselves, we are promoting that partnership with NGOs and private companies. That's what we advocate for. The only thing that I can indicate is we have that partnership, but sometimes it doesn't come to the surface because of different way of administering things. But I think if we meet regularly, we can find a common ground. How best can we move forward? Because without working together, there's
nothing is going to happen.
Can I give you an example very quickly?
Very quickly,
the ECD Institute, Vanessa Mentor, she's the CEO of the ECD Institute, has agreed to come out with me to an informal settlement in Boxburg to actually experience what I'm talking about. And that is so promising. So I think I don't want to be critical of government because they are doing good things. They really are doing good things. They really are. I just appreciate the efforts that they're employing. And I think us South Africans should also recognize that.
Speaking of great efforts, and final, what's planned for National Nutrition Week? By the department. Let's start with the department. As
a department, we continuously have activities to encourage people to plant. In small space that they do have, we have got programs that distribute seeds for the households. So
this
that
will
they can
happen during the nutritional week.
It will happen during the nutritional week.
Okay.
We have already started. Last week we had a World Food Day where we distributed
Yes.
seeds to many people.
Oh, nice.
So we had more than maybe 1,000 that I attended that event. We have done that.
Okay.
Next week we have got other activities that will be targeting areas that will be also promoting. Let's produce for your own
Very quickly, which areas are you going to be visiting?
We are targeting the areas of the Sidibeng area,
Okay.
and also the other area in that area.
The people that really need it the most, absolutely,
yes,
the hungry
we
people.
will target those ones.
I'm very excited. We're going to have more than 5,000 volunteers package meals in Cape Town and Johannesburg, and the Kenilworth Shopping Centre, 4 West Crossing next Saturday, the 19th of October. Nedbank have sponsored an event on Wednesday which commemorates World Food Day, where we're going to be packing 20,000 meals the whole day with more than 250 volunteers.
Anybody can come and volunteer?
Friday we're going to be packaging meals in Paris with the Supergroup and Osiris and Melrose Arch on Friday afternoon. So and I'd like to extend an invitation to both you and all these fine folk that are filming us right now to come in and give a hand and show us that we can actually, as a resource community, touch and impact the lives of those hungry. So would you mind committing right now to visiting us at 4 West Crossing Shopping Centre
very quickly?
Saturday? No, I won't mind. I will join you.
Excellent.
I'll
Thank you
be
very
there
much.
as well, Barry,
Thank you.
in front of national television. Well, we hope we could go on and on about this very important issue. Kodwa Mbukelo kwamanje, isikhathi sesidliwe yinja. I would like to thank my guests for making time to be here. Sibonge nani futhi babukele emakhaya ngokuba phela nathi kuze kube imanje. Please join my co-presenter Sisanda Jonas next Friday when she will be discussing the newly proposed policy on mobile phone termination rates, which are expected to lower cell phone call charges. Ukuthola impinda zezinhlelo zethu. Please join us on this channel, SABC 1 in Mzansi for sure, every Monday morning from 9:30 to 10:30. For myself, Alicia Intombi Agajali, and the whole team, it's goodbye. Nisali kahle.
Yilungelo Lakho.